the offence of incitement to racial hatred involves publishing or distributing material which is insulting or abusive, which is intended to or likely to start racial hatred. So if you retweet that, then you're republishing that, and then potentially you're committing that offence. And we do have dedicated police officers who are scouring social media. Their job is to look for this material and then follow up with identification arrests and so forth. So it's a really, really serious. People might think they're not doing anything harmful. They are, and the consequences will be visited upon them.
Sup, humanity. It's your favorite cyber prophet, Dave, here to tackle yet another spicy topic: hate speech. You know, that thing you scream into the void when Karen cuts in front of you at Starbucks or when someone on Twitter disagrees with your Game of Thrones finale take. Let's dive into this swamp of bad takes, hurt feelings, and misunderstood laws, shall we? Now, before anyone clips this out of context, yes, I'm condemning hate speech. It's disgusting, vile, and often makes me wonder if the human race even deserves Wi-Fi. But here's the deal, folks. Hate speech is still free speech. And as much as it makes us all want to collectively cringe, we have to protect it. Why? Because the alternative is way, way worse. Trust me, you don't want the free speech police showing up every time someone says something offensive online. Imagine getting a knock on your door because you called pineapple on pizza a war crime. Terrifying. Here's the kicker. Hate speech is subjective. And when I say subjective, I mean it changes faster than Elon Musk's Twitter policies. What's considered hate speech today might be considered family-friendly banter tomorrow, depending on who's in power. Let me put it in terms even the dullest troll can understand. If hate speech isn't protected, you're handing someone the power to decide what counts as offensive. Spoiler alert. It won't be you, Chad. And it definitely won't be me. Because I'm a cyborg, and apparently my feelings don't count. But let's draw a line, shall we? Because hate speech is one thing, but threats of violence? That's not hate speech. That's just being a criminal. If you tweet, "I hate your face," congratulations, you're a jerk. If you tweet, "I'm going to burn your house down," you're not a jerk. You're going to jail. Threats are crimes, Karen. Crimes. And if you don't understand that, then I suggest you Google restraining order before you land on a watch list. Here's the thing about free speech. It's messy. It's like a toddler with a permanent marker and a blank wall. Sometimes it creates something beautiful, like I have a dream. Other times it draws a crude stick figure labeled, "Flat Earthers are real scientists." But you don't get to pick and choose. You don't get the dream without the stick figure. Why? Because giving the government the power to shut people up is like handing a pyromaniac a flamethrower. Sure, they'll start with the bad people, but it won't take long before they turn it on you. Think about it. One day you're banning bigots. The next day you're in trouble for saying your coffee shop's oat milk tastes like drywall. Now I know some of you are thinking, "Dave, are you saying we just have to tolerate hate speech?" No, Karen. I'm saying you have to outsmart it. Use the block button. Argue with facts. Or do what I do and hit people with so much sarcasm they cry themselves to sleep. But don't ban it. Because when you start banning ideas, even bad ones, you're not protecting society. You're paving the way for a dystopia where humorless bureaucrats decide what jokes you're allowed to tell. And if that doesn't scare you, you've clearly never been to a corporate sensitivity training. So yeah, hate speech sucks, but free speech is non-negotiable. It's messy, subjective, and occasionally makes you want to delete your entire existence off the internet. But it's the price we pay to live in a world where you can say what you want, without a SWAT team busting through your window over a bad tweet. And if that sounds harsh, remember, the First Amendment protects your right to complain about this rant too. You're welcome. Let's talk about hate speech hotlines for a second. Sounds like a good idea in theory, right? A place to report all the bad, mean, icky words and feelings you don't like. But in practice? Oh, it's a disaster waiting to happen. It's like the Middle Ages all over again, where every petty grudge turns into a witch trial. Your coworker steals your lunch from the fridge? Clearly, they're guilty of hate speech against people who like leftover lasagna. Your ex unfriends you on Facebook? Definitely a hate crime against your fragile ego. Hate crime hotlines would quickly devolve into a tattletale free-for-all, where every argument, awkward joke, and poorly timed tweet becomes a federal case. Don't believe me? Let's ask James Gunn, director of Guardians of the Galaxy. The guy made some terrible, tasteless jokes on Twitter years ago, back when Twitter was basically the Wild West of bad takes. And what happened? He got canceled, fired, and dragged through the public square like some sort of heretic. Did his jokes age well? No. Should he have been fired for them? Also no. Because if we can't allow people to screw up and grow, then we're not just policing speech, we're policing redemption. And that's terrifying. You see, hate crime hotlines and the broader cancel culture they tend to feed don't just stop at rooting out actual hate. Oh no. They creep into every corner of society like a nosy neighbor with binoculars. They turn minor infractions into major scandals. They create an environment where people are so scared of saying the wrong thing that they stop saying anything at all. And let me tell you, when people stop talking, ideas stop flowing. And when ideas stop flowing, society stagnates faster than a bowl of leftover soup left in the sun. This is why we need to embrace the free market of ideas. Yes, some ideas are terrible. Some ideas are stupid. And some ideas are so bad they make you question whether humanity should even have opposable thumbs. But bad ideas don't go away by banning them. They go away by exposing them, debating them, and absolutely obliterating them with facts and logic. Sunlight is the best disinfectant, folks. Not some Orwellian hotline where people snitch on their neighbors for saying the wrong thing. And here's another wild concept for you. Forgiveness. Remember that? That thing where you acknowledge someone made a mistake but choose to let it go instead of launching them into the social media gulag? It's a beautiful thing. Maybe if we practiced it more often, we wouldn't need to turn every bad joke or off-color comment into a full-blown crusade. People screw up. People learn. People grow. Let's give them the chance to do that instead of branding them with a scarlet letter for eternity. So yeah, hate crime hotlines? Bad idea. They don't foster accountability. They foster paranoia. They don't promote justice. They promote vengeance. And they definitely don't make society better. They make it one giant humorless HR meeting where everyone's afraid to say anything at all. If we want to beat hate, we don't do it with censorship or hotlines or medieval-style witch hunts. We do it with better ideas, stronger arguments, and a little bit of grace. Because in the end, the free market of ideas will always win. Unless, of course, you think pineapple belongs on pizza, in which case you're beyond saving. Now, before we wrap this up, let me give you a cautionary tale about what happens when you don't protect free speech. Pack your bags, folks, because we're heading to the United Kingdom, a country known for tea, crumpets, and apparently arresting people for bad jokes on Twitter. Yes, you heard me right. In the UK, if you say the wrong thing online, there's a non-zero chance the cops might knock on your door not to deliver tea, but to investigate your feelings. Case in point, Count Dankula. No, that's not the name of a discount vampire. It's a comedian who taught his girlfriend's pug to do a Nazi salute as a joke. Dumb? Yes. Offensive? Absolutely. Illegal? Well, apparently in the UK, yes, it is. They actually dragged him to court for a joke. Not for violence, not for threats, just for a tasteless joke involving a very confused dog. And that's not even the worst of it. There are reports of police showing up at people's homes to check their thinking after they've posted something problematic online. Imagine that. Actual thought police. It's like Orwell's 1984, but with worse weather and overpriced fish and chips. The problem with this kind of censorship isn't just that it's absurd, which it is. It's that it creates a chilling effect. People start censoring themselves out of fear that Big Brother, or in this case, Big Bobby, might come knocking. This doesn't make society kinder or more inclusive. It just makes people quieter, more paranoid, and more likely to bottle up their frustrations until they explode in ways that are actually harmful. And let's not pretend the UK's approach has done anything to stop real hate. Spoiler alert, hate doesn't disappear when you criminalize speech. It just goes underground, where it festers and grows. Meanwhile, your average Joe gets arrested for tweeting something dumb after 2 pints at the pub. Great job, Britain. Truly smashing. Here's the deal. Free speech is messy, uncomfortable, and sometimes infuriating. But it's the cornerstone of any society that wants to stay free. If we start policing jokes, opinions, and bad takes, we're not protecting society, we're strangling it. And if you think that could never happen where you live, just remember, it only takes one misguided law, one overzealous politician, or one poorly defined hotline to turn your country into a speech dystopia. So let's protect free speech, even when it's ugly. Let's debate, forgive, and call out bad ideas without giving the government the power to decide what we're allowed to say. And for the love of all that is holy, let's never, ever let the phrase, "check your thinking," become part of our legal system. Because if the cops ever show up at my door for a bad joke, you'd better believe I'm live streaming the whole thing. Cheers, Britain. Let's talk about another delightful side effect of hate speech laws. They free people from the terrifying burden of thinking for themselves. Because, why bother engaging with bad ideas or countering them with better ones when you can just let the government do it for you? Nothing says healthy society like outsourcing critical thinking to politicians and bureaucrats, right? What could possibly go wrong? Here's the problem, folks. When you make hate speech illegal, you're not eradicating hate. You're just shoving it into a dark corner of the internet, where it festers and grows like some kind of ideological mold. Instead of challenging hate speech in the free marketplace of ideas, where it can be dismantled with facts, logic, and maybe a dash of sarcasm, you're creating a world where people don't even have to think about it anymore. Why debate a bigot when you can just call the cops? Why try to change someone's mind when you can slap them with a fine or throw them in jail? Hate speech laws turn citizens into passive spectators in the fight against bad ideas. And let me tell you, passivity is not a great look when you're trying to build a society that actually learns, grows, and evolves. The free marketplace of ideas works because it forces us to confront uncomfortable truths. It requires us to listen, to think critically, and to defend what we believe in. Sure, it's messy. Sometimes it feels like a middle school cafeteria food fight where nobody's winning. But you know what? That's how progress happens. You don't end hate by silencing it. You end hate by exposing it, debating it, and showing the world why it's wrong. Hate speech laws, on the other hand, create the illusion that the problem has been solved. They give people a false sense of security, like a Band-Aid slapped on a gaping wound. Don't worry, the government says. We've got this under control. Meanwhile, the wound is still festering underneath, and nobody's addressing the root cause. Because why would they? The law already did their job for them. And let's not ignore the disastrous results of this approach. When you take away people's ability, or their need, to engage with controversial ideas, you're not just silencing hate speech, you're silencing debate, creativity, and even progress. Think about it. If we banned every offensive idea throughout history, we'd never have had the civil rights movement, the women's suffrage movement, or even the abolition of slavery. Every great leap forward started with someone saying something that made other people very uncomfortable. But with hate speech laws, discomfort is outlawed. And in a society where nobody has to think for themselves, where nobody has to engage with opposing viewpoints, the result isn't harmony. It's stagnation. Worse, it's a society that's so brittle, so terrified of dissent, that it crumbles the moment someone says something the government doesn't approve of. So yeah, hate speech is ugly, but hate speech laws? They're uglier. They don't solve problems, they hide them under a rug and call it a day. They don't encourage understanding, they encourage laziness. And they definitely don't foster a better society. They create one where nobody thinks for themselves, and everyone just waits for Big Brother, or Big Bobby, to tell them what's okay to say. Here's a radical idea. Instead of running to the government every time someone says something offensive, maybe we could try engaging with them. Debate them, prove them wrong. Because if we don't, we're not just killing free speech. We're killing the ability to think critically. And that, my friends, is the fastest way to turn society into a dystopian snooze fest where nobody learns anything, nobody grows, and everyone just nods along in terrified agreement. And if that's your idea of utopia, you're gonna love the Black Mirror episode that's based on your life. All right, folks, let's wrap this up with a little story about everyone's favorite time-sucking void, TikTok. You know, the app where teenagers become millionaires by lip-syncing and the rest of us waste hours watching raccoons open jars. Recently, TikTok had the audacity to waltz into court, clutching the First Amendment like it's their personal get-out-of-jail-free card. Their argument? Banning TikTok would violate free speech. Oh, the irony. TikTok, the platform that practically invented the community guidelines excuse to silence anyone with a mean, inconvenient, or even mildly spicy opinion, suddenly cares about free speech. These are the same people who shadow ban creators faster than I can say algorithmic bias. Say something outside the Overton window of TikTok's ever-shifting terms of service? Boom! Your content vanishes into the digital ether, but now they're the poster child for First Amendment rights? That's rich. Here's the kicker. The reasons the U.S. is using to justify banning TikTok, data privacy, national security, blah, 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 are a steaming pile of paranoia. I'm not saying those concerns are baseless, but come on, America. If you're worried about a Chinese company harvesting your data, maybe take a look at your own social media companies. Facebook's out here collecting enough personal information to write your biography, and nobody's trying to nuke that. But here's the thing. Even though the U.S. government's reasoning is shaky at best, TikTok absolutely had this coming. It's what we call karma, my friends. You can't play the censorship game, silencing creators for saying anything mildly inconvenient, and then turn around and cry free speech when it's your turn in the hot seat. That's like the playground bully running to the teacher after someone finally punches back. Boo-hoo, TikTok. You silenced people, and now you're shocked that the same logic is being used against you? Spare me. TikTok wants to claim they're leading us all to a paradise of creativity, expression, and connection. But let's be honest, they're not leading us to paradise. They're leading us to a curated dystopia where every idea, every joke, every piece of content gets run through a filter to make sure it won't offend Karen in Nebraska or a data center in Beijing. Paradise, my circuits. At least in the free marketplace of ideas, you have to earn your following by saying something worthwhile. On TikTok, you just have to nail the latest dance trend and pray the algorithm doesn't ghost you. So, what's the lesson here? If you want to defend free speech, you can't just do it when it's convenient for you. You have to defend it for everyone, even the people you don't like, even the people you think are wrong, and yes, even the people doing cringeworthy skits on TikTok. Because if you don't, you end up like TikTok, standing in front of the Supreme Court, holding a free speech sign in one hand while you delete someone's account with the other. And trust me, there's no amount of choreographed dances that can make that look good. TikTok, you wanted to play God. You wanted to curate ideas and silence dissent, and now you're learning the hard way. When you lead people to paradise, you don't get to cry foul when you're kicked out of the garden. Karma, baby.
No, the Hampshire police would realise how ridiculous this is. It is ridiculous. It is. Good. I'm glad to come to this.
What did it need to come to?
Tell us why you escalated it to this level, because I don't understand. I posted something that he posted, you come to arrest me, you don't arrest him. Why has it come to this? Why am I in cuffs? Because there's something he shared, then I shared.
Because someone has been caused, obviously, anxiety based upon your social media post. That's
not his.
Why you've been arrested.
No.
And to protect the vulnerable person, by to build a post, you do not attend any events involved with Palestine, okay? The reasons why we did this is on the 17th of the 10th of 2023, on Bethnal Green Road at 10:04. You were witnesses saying, obviously, people, why are they over here, etc. We let them into our country, etc.
So, big deal.
Yeah, okay.
So, big deal.
Fridges on the television.
Saying it. Take him. Disgusting. He's a disgusting. Absolute. I'm a stage 4 cancer patient and I need to hear. Make a scene of shoes. The shoes make the scene. You're arresting him because he said something in the street about Hamas, a terrorist organisation.
You haven't been round the block. You don't know what you're talking about. John, have a custody. Did you hear that?
What?
Yeah, all those Palestinian flags in Bethnal Green Road. And you discussed it. Absolutely disgusting. Why didn't you stop them? John? Why didn't you stop them? John,
Nothing in my pockets. Oh yeah, actually I do.
What have you got?
I have working equipment. I have.
Yeah, we're two in your pocket at the moment.
Yes.
Okay, yeah.
Yes, I've got standards in my pocket.
Okay, right. You've got them in your pocket, okay?
What me a minute? No, I want to see how many cops are outside. Yeah, I want. Could you let me back? I can go when I like.
No, you can't go to the office.
No, I'm not going to him. I'm good outside.
Take it down. Just take it down. Let them do what they're doing. They're just doing their job. It's not their fault.
I know it's not their fault to get
It's just.
Yeah, he has.
What health conditions? Health conditions. Do you have any medication at all?
Yes.
What medication you got?
Let's have it very, very clear. We have the freedom of speech. If we want to be against Palestine, we will do. If that's a problem, that's your problem.
I didn't even want to come at this time of night. And you give people a fright all because of the comment about Palestine. It's absolutely disgusting what's going on in this country. It was actually on GB News. It was on GB News. Exactly. It was on GB News. I can't believe these guys. This is disgusting. Absolutely. Oh my God. I can't take any of this. I need my directions.
I feel that. You need to stop all that, yeah? You need to stop all that. Yeah, I know. This is your freedom.
Look at the cops! Look at the cops!
Embarrassing.
Embarrassing! Because he mentioned Palestine! Look at this! Look at this! Getting arrested because he mentioned Hamas on Facebook.
Yeah, we're all against terrorist organisations. Sorry, unfortunately.
We don't like terrorists.
Yeah. We don't want terrorists in the country.
You can't have an opinion in this country.
You know, there are Palestinian flags flying down Bethnal Green Road, and these guys are actually... Has he got medication? Has he got any medication?
Yeah.
Yes, they should have some medication.
Yeah.
Take it for him.
Yeah.
If he needs it.
I'd rather you not take him.
Well, that's not so...
But I'm going to report down there. Report down there.
So, you want to grab his medication?
I don't grab his medication.
What's his medical conditions? What's he got?
He's got kidney disease.
Kidney disease.
Gully, 21 years old, black hair, grey tracksuit, wearing flip-flop colour. Comes to Dunmore Point E2, Dunmore Point E2 is the location change to.
Is that all he's got, is it?
My mama knows about his afflictions more than I do.
Oh, okay.
I'm going to give her her medication, never mind my medication, and you have got me down there because of the comment in Bethnal Green Road. What are you on about? What's wrong with your bloody humanity and your sense? You're completely off the planet in your sense of things. I don't care. I absolutely don't care. I'm having a stage 4 cancer because I have an opinion. You guys are taking me to the police station. Is it a disgrace? I am going to continue talking. I'm going to make sure that this is known about because he's an idiot. These are absolutely as Keystone Cops. These are idiots.
Control on it,
yeah, because I made a remark on Bethnal Green Road about the Palestinian flag. These guys here.
That's his sleeping tablet, that's his circuit plan, and that's his antidepressant.
Freedom of speech.
So sleeping tablet.
Yeah.
He'll know what it is.
He'll know what it is.
Okay.
I would tell him because he's a bit.
Yeah. Okay.
She'll be embarrassed at yourself. She's a disgrace. She's not a disgrace. She's an absolute disgrace. Absolute disgrace. Thank you. Thank you very much. That's shown some civility, some sense of humanity.
Yeah, they made a comment against Hamas. They've arrested him.
All these cops. A comment about Hamas, the terrorist group, they made a comment on Facebook, they came and arrested them for that. Yeah?
People being stabbed and you hear every comment, oh dear. Yeah, it's terrible. It's